We present you now the new version of the Apocalypse by Ruben Irizarry of 2019 with expanded interpretation, chapter by chapter. I hope it will be a blessing to you. Let's start. Chapter 20, And I saw an angel coming down from heaven, and he had the key of the bottomless pit and a large chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the ancient serpent, which is devil and Satan, who deceived the whole earth and bound him for 1,000 years, and threw him into the abyss, and shut him up and put a seal over him, so that he would not deceive already to the nations. Until the 1,000 years have been completed, after this, he must be released for a little while. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them with granted ability to judge, and the souls of those who had been beheaded because of the testimony of Jesus and because of the word of God, those who did not worship the beast or the image of she and did not receive the mark on their forehead and on their hand, and they returned and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. The rest of the dead did not live again until the 1,000 years were completed. This is the first resurrection. This first resurrection is of the souls that had been beheaded because of the testimony of Jesus, and because of the word of God, of those who did not worship the beast or its image, and did not receive the mark of the beast on their in front of or on their hand, and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. Blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. Over them the second death has no authority. The second death has no authority because they achieved victory and will not die. The second death is the eternal death that the wicked will receive in the judgment that will be made to them, with open books including the book of life, but they will be priests of God and of Christ, and will reign with him for 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison, and will go out to deceive the nations that are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle, which in number are like the sand of the sea. Here Gog and Magog represent, from one extreme to the other, all that the enemy can deceive, those who allow themselves to be deceived and act wickedly. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, and fire came down from God's heaven and consumed them completely. Fire descended from heaven and consumed them as they surrounded the city of the saints, Jerusalem. This was when Satan deceived them again, after the millennium, leading them to attack God's people in the beloved city. And the devil, the deceiver, was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where also the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night, forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne and the one sitting on it, and from his face the earth and the sky fled away, and no place was found for them. This is the removal of the current heaven and earth, because there will be a new heaven and a new earth. And I saw the dead, I saw the unrepentant, the great and the small, standing before the throne, and some scrolls were opened, and another scroll was opened, the one of life, and the dead were judged by what had been written on the scrolls, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them, and each one was judged according to his works. And death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. The second death is the eternal death received, after having passed through a judgment and being sentenced to go to the lake of fire that burns with sulfur. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire.